Terry. That's why I'm going all Halloween-y for everybody out here, you know? I'm trying to get the effect of what Scary Terry was to the Cleveland Cavaliers today. Just eviscerating their souls, thinking that they had the Miami Heat. And then just like that, a 4-point play, and the Miami Heat were able to even things up, 100 apiece, and they get themselves a monster win on the road. Jimmy Butler, he'd come through with about 40 left with a big turnaround jumper. And then Terry Rozier would come back, hit another big three for Miami, give some free throws to give them a 3-point lead. And that was all she wrote in a game today where Miami was looking like it was dwindling away, looking like, you know, a game that they played really well offensively in the first half of this one. You got Jimmy Butler back, and it just was doing so many good things for Miami between his facilitating, the steals, you just getting everything that you needed. Can't stress enough what an important win this was for Miami because a couple of reasons. You ended this road trip 3-1. You beat a quality team that, yes, had their own injuries that they were dealing with. It's like the story of the NBA. It almost becomes a boring thing. Like, find me the full credit wins you can find with everybody where everybody has everybody. And, you know, I'll probably show you a playoff game because it's probably not in the regular season. But to have a performance like today where it really did feel like it was going away from Miami and they did not have a shot to win this, for Terry to come through like that, big shots on the road, difficult shots. And Miami hit a lot of difficult shots in that second half. Offense was not easy to come by. I was thinking at the end of that third quarter, you know, the footwork by Orlando Robinson, you know, some of the makes by Terry Rozier where he had that crazy fadeaway in the corner. Nico today, man. Nico was hitting some gnarly threes to put Miami in a good position. So while it wasn't perfect, it had its flaws. You're certainly frustrated by the idea that Miami still looks like when they get a double-digit lead, you hold your breath, you hold on for dear life. But this one really could have cratered on them. It really could have cratered on them. It could have gone in a bad spot, and it didn't. And yes, if you do hear the ocean in the background, I have been banished to the beach because Mrs. Tobin's like, you're not recording a video recap in the room today with the kiddies going to sleep, which I respect from her. I cannot, you know, she puts up with enough shenanigans. She puts up with enough nonsense. I'm trying to be a good boy on vacation where I'm not working too much. You know me. But this was a game I really wanted to react to because, you know, I talked today. I was at the studio to do Tapped Out, and then, you know, the news came out about Bam. I'm just like, man, this has just been such a bummer that Miami has dealt with injury after injury, and just felt like today with Bam going down, you were like, all right, are they going to have Jimmy? Are they going to have Nico? What is the story going to be? And it goes back to the last game where it's like, what can you judge from games like this? But I do feel like this is something you can judge from the Miami Heat because Terry Rozier, the reason you brought him here was make difficult shots, make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Can he take possessions that are difficult when the game slows down, when the game is like a boa constrictor, when you can't seem to get anything? Who's got the cajones to go out there and make those shots? And that's what Scary Terry showed you that he was able to do today. And it was a great performance from him in a fourth quarter where everything was drying up for Miami, where nothing was looking good. And you're getting, you know, this was such a crazy game. As I switch hands here by the beach, I would love to see some sea turtles. I don't actually think there's a sea turtle season, though. I haven't seen one nest out here. This was one of those games where it felt very much like, you know, Miami had to hold on for dear life because you don't have Bam. The Miami is closing with Nikola Jovic at the 5. And, you know, I love Nico, and he did some really good things defensively today, but that's not like his calling card on stuff, is getting the stops. And so for him, you know, this was, for them to get a win like this with him closing as their big was huge. It was absolutely huge. Just really, really gutsy. And it was one that I hope really reinvigorates this team for a big homestand coming up, because you needed a win against these Eastern Conference teams, a team that's ahead of you. You know, yes, Donovan Mitchell went down with getting his nose plastered, and they did not have our boy Strussi, Mr. Half Court himself. But look, to get a win like that, I don't want to quibble about it at all. I thought it was friggin' fantastic to pull that one up. I thought it showed huge onions from the team on the road in a game that did have a lot of back and forths. Was frustrating because there were times where it felt like you had Cleveland on the ropes. There was a time in the second quarter where they had 3 technical fouls, and you really think to yourself, man, all right, they're kind of losing it. But instead, they came through with some big plays to put themselves back in this game. Jared Allen was an absolute monster, which you probably knew that he was going to be with no Bam out there. But even still, I thought everybody kind of held their own. You know, I thought Thomas Bryant held his own, and he's continued to just really, really perform in a nice way, because this guy felt like an absolute afterthought for the team. And the injuries that you had to Kevin Love and the injuries that you had on this roster, you know, you needed it. And Orlando Robinson had his moments today too. Comes right off the bench, hits a big 3. You know, goes in there. He has this tough. Jimmy kind of has a possession where he gets bottled up and just kind of dumps it off to Orlando Robinson, and Lando's able to put the nice footwork on it and get a big time bucket. So he showed up in a big time way. And this was, mind you, a game where they really didn't get a lot offensively from Caleb Martin. Patty Mills got off to a nice start, and then, you know, decided to build a brick house like he has been doing for most of his Heat tenure so far. But they rallied. And they were able to come up with a big split. And not only that, then after the Terry Rozier big-time 4-point play, for them to bottle them up the next possession down and get Karis LeVert to just basically dribble into a 24-second violation was absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. So, you know, you just hope that you can take something like this, and I think this team, it's tough to know what you're going to get from game to game. But as I said in the video earlier today, you haven't had a lot of good wins in March to feel good about. And I think this was a big one. One, because you did it without, you know, 2 of your steady horses. No Duncan Robinson, no Bam Adebayo. And you got Jimmy back. And Jimmy, just to have his ability, first of all, just got off to a really good start in this game. That gave you a 20-point first half today, which I think was his highest of the season for a half. But also, you know, was just a demon with the steals and disrupting possessions. And you do wonder at points in those fourth quarter, like, all right, is he going to take over? Is he going to have those moments? But, like, he is trying to set guys up, and they are sending a lot at him. And that is kind of the beauty with what Terry did, because, yeah, Jimmy had the play that ultimately gave them the lead. But also, for him to be able to do all that other stuff, and then they do have that go-to guy. That's what they've been looking for. You know, and I'm not saying, you know, maybe Tyler provides that too if he gets healthy for him, but, you know, Terry Rozier, we've known that this guy can make big time shots, but for him to do this in a big time win on the road, I think just is I think that can really do wonders for the Heat, because it's hard to know what's going to translate to the playoffs. That feels like it's going to translate. That feels like it's going to mean something, and you're hopeful that that's the case for the Heat. But, you know, they get this one. I'm trying to think if I forgot any flowers to give away for today's performance, but a good way. It's Pat Riley's birthday. You shouldn't lose on Pat Riley's birthday. You allow the Godfather to go now, sip on some scotch in his silk pajamas by a fireplace, obviously, you know, cackling at the Cavaliers and stupid Dan Gilbert, giving him the middle finger, hopefully. And, you know, you could just ease on, get back to home for a big game against the Pelicans come on Friday. I'll be boots on the ground for that one. as this is the last day of the Tobin vacay. And looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can do in their own building. They got to get a lot better at home. They have underwhelmed at the Kaseya Center so far this year, so this will be a good opportunity for them. But for tonight, it's Scary Terry's night, and thus we give you a Scary Terry face.